The artist. Football is sometimes described as the beautiful game, and nobody embodies that description better than the artist. These are players who elevate football beyond sport, transforming it into something resembling art, theater, or poetry. The artist doesn't just control the ball, they orchestrate emotions. Fans don't simply watch them, they feel them. Think of Zinedine Zidane in the 2006 World Cup final, chesting down a looping ball with impossible control, or delivering the iconic volley in the Champions League final for Real Madrid against Bayer Leverkusen. These moments are eternal. They are not just goals, they are brushstrokes on football's canvas. Artists play with a calmness that feels unearthly. Andrea Pirlo described passing as painting with the ball. Watching him in midfield spraying 40-yard passes with elegance made you wonder if time slowed down for him. He rarely sprinted, but he never needed to. Like a painter choosing colors, Pirlo chose passing lanes, each one perfectly measured. Then you have Ronaldinho, arguably the purest example of artistry. For him, football was joy. He played as if smiling was part of the job description. Step overs, no look passes, flicks that seemed illegal. Ronaldinho was unpredictable, and defenders hated it. Fans, though, adored it. That's artistry. It wasn't always efficient, but it was unforgettable. The artist is not always consistent, though. Mesut Ozil, for instance, could produce passes that nobody else saw, dissecting defenses with surgical precision. But when the game got physical, when the fight was about grit rather than beauty, Ozil sometimes faded. Critics would accuse him of laziness, but in truth, he was an artist trapped in games that demanded soldiers. And that's the thing. The artist is not meant for every situation. You don't bring them on to shut down a game, you bring them to create. Their legacy is not measured only in trophies or statistics, but in memories. Zidane's flicks, Ronaldinho's grin, Pirlo's vision, Ozil's killer through balls, Riquelme's composure, they make you fall in love with football all over again. Every generation produces its artist. Today we see Kevin De Bruyne splitting defenses with otherworldly passes. Lionel Messi is perhaps the ultimate artist, blending goals, dribbles, and vision into one complete masterpiece. The artist doesn't just win games, they win hearts. And in football, that might be the most important victory of all. The diva. Football has its geniuses, but it also has its drama kings. The diva. This is the player who makes everything about themselves. The diva thrives under the spotlight, but struggles when they aren't the center of attention. They're unpredictable, frustrating, and yet utterly captivating. Take Cristiano Ronaldo, one of the greatest to ever play, no question. But how many times have we seen him throw his arms up when a teammate doesn't pass, or storm down the tunnel after being substituted? Ronaldo is a perfectionist, and with that comes ego. Sometimes that ego drives him to greatness, other times it fuels the diva within. Then there's Neymar Jr., blessed with talent, cursed with theatrics. Nobody doubts Neymar's skills. His dribbling and flair are world class, but the rolling, the dramatics after fouls, the constant clashes with media, it's all part of the diva package. Some fans love it, others despise it, but everyone talks about it. And that's exactly how divas like it. The diva archetype isn't new. In the 90s and 2000s, Zlatan Ibrahimovic perfected it. Zlatan would call himself a god, belittle teammates in interviews, and score outrageous goals to back it all up. He was arrogance personified, but also charisma in human form. And then, of course, Mario Balotelli. If football were theatre, Balotelli would be its most chaotic actor. Fireworks in his bathroom, refusing to wear training bibs, scoring wonder goals out of nowhere, he made headlines for everything but consistency. Balotelli is the diva distilled to its purest chaos. Divas often clash with authority. Managers like Jose Mourinho or Sir Alex Ferguson hated dealing with them. Yet sometimes even they couldn't resist their talent. A diva can win you a match single handedly. then derail your season with their attitude. They are volatile, unpredictable, and at times toxic. But here's the thing, fans secretly love divas because while they frustrate, they also entertain. Football without divas would be too robotic. Who else would give us endless memes, drama, and unforgettable storylines? Divas remind us that footballers are not just athletes, they're personalities. And sometimes those personalities are bigger than the game itself. The hothead. Every team has one. The player who lives on the edge, who brings intensity and aggression, but also risks losing it all in a split second. Hotheads don't just play football, they fight through it. Sergio Ramos is the modern face of the hothead. Captain, leader, winner, but also the record holder for red cards. Ramos thrived in chaos. He'd score a last minute header to win you the Champions League, then commit a brutal foul in a Clasico. That's the hothead's duality. Hero one moment, villain the next. Go back further and you find Roy Keane, Manchester United's enforcer, a man who played with rage as fuel. His infamous tackle on Alfie Haaland wasn't football, it was vengeance. Keane terrified opponents, motivated teammates, and sometimes crossed the line. That's the hothead. Vital in battle, dangerous in peace. Gennaro Gattuso was another, short in stature, but his temper made him seem 10 feet tall. He'd bark at referees, scrap with opponents, even fight with his own coaches. Yet managers loved him because his fury translated into effort and energy. And then there's Pepe, Real Madrid's destroyer, known for brutal fouls, moments of complete madness, and zero fear. For years, he was football's villain, someone fans love to hate. Hotheads bring chaos, but they also bring passion. Fans love seeing players who care too much rather than too little. When a hothead dives into tackles, argues with referees, or screams at teammates, it feels authentic. They are emotional mirrors of the fans. But hotheads also cost you games. Red cards in finals, suspensions in big matches, reckless fouls, they are liabilities wrapped in fire. Yet without them, football would lose its edge. Because sometimes chaos is the difference between winning and losing. The journeyman. Not every footballer becomes a legend at one club. Some take different paths. They become the journeyman. These are players who have worn more jerseys than you can count, who have played in 5 countries and collected experiences like stamps in a passport. Nicholas Anelka is the quintessential journeyman. He played for PSG, Arsenal, Real Madrid, Liverpool, Manchester City, Chelsea, Juventus, and clubs in Turkey, China, and India. At times brilliant, at times frustrating, Anelka's career was nomadic. He never stayed long enough to be immortalized, but his story is uniquely rich. Zlatan Ibrahimovic was a journeyman of a different kind. Unlike Anelka, Zlatan dominated everywhere he went. Ajax, Juventus, Inter, Barcelona, Milan, PSG, Manchester United, LA Galaxy. Zlatan collected goals and trophies across the globe. Journeyman or superstar? Maybe both. Others take the role of squad players who move constantly. Peter Crouch played for 11 clubs, always reliable, always adapting. Fans loved him, even if he wasn't a superstar. Journeymans like Crouch are reminders that you don't have to be the best to be beloved. Journeymen are football survivors. They reinvent themselves constantly, never tied down, always finding a way to keep playing. Sometimes they are accused of lacking loyalty, but often it's a necessity. Not every player is Messi or Maldini. For many, survival means moving on. Journeymen tell the other side of football, the side where careers are built on adaptability, not legacy. And while they may never be immortalized by one club, they live on in stories across many. The lazy talent. Few things frustrate fans more than the lazy talent. These are the players who could have been world class, maybe even the best in the world, but lack the mentality to match their ability. Mario Balotelli is the poster child. When motivated, he could score screamers, dominate defenders, and play with swagger. But when disinterested, he was a ghost. His infamous "Why always me" celebration sums it up. Brilliant talent, chaotic career. Ravel Morrison was hailed as the best player of Manchester United's youth academy, ahead of Paul Pogba. Sir Alex Ferguson himself called him a genius. But discipline, off field issues, and lack of focus destroyed his career before it even began. Adel Tarabt once lit up QPR with outrageous skills. In the Championship, he looked like Messi. In the Premier League, he looked lost. He had all the ability but none of the consistency. Hatem Ben Arfa dazzled with Marseille and Newcastle, producing solo goals that defied logic. But he clashed with managers, coasted through training, and faded away. Lazy talents frustrate because they make fans dream. They produce one magical night that makes you believe they've turned a corner, only to disappear for weeks. They're what could have beens, walking reminders that talent alone isn't enough. And maybe that's why fans remember them so vividly. Because lazy talents reflect our own frustrations. We all know people with potential who never used it. They're flawed geniuses, and in football, flaws are just as memorable as perfection. The loyalist. In an era of transfers, money, and constant change, the loyalist feels rare. These are players who stick with their club through thick and thin, who value love over trophies. Francesco Totti stayed at Roma his entire career, turning down Real Madrid to remain a hometown hero. He became the king of Rome, worshipped by fans, immortalized in statues. Steven Gerrard stayed with Liverpool even when Chelsea tried to lure him away. He suffered heartbreaks, like slipping against Chelsea in 2014 to lose the Premier League, but also triumphs like Istanbul in 2005. Gerrard is Liverpool. Liverpool is Gerrard. Paolo Maldini spent 25 years at AC Milan, winning everything but never leaving. He carried the legacy of his family and his club, becoming their eternal symbol. Thomas Muller is Bayern Munich's eternal joker and genius, refusing offers to leave because Bayern is his life. Loyalists often sacrifice bigger trophies or easier paths. They choose meaning over medals, and fans adore them for it. They're living testaments that football is about belonging as much as winning. The street footballer. The street footballer brings raw flair, improvisation, and joy. They never lose the spark of playing on the streets, where style mattered as much as goals. Neymar Jr. epitomizes it. His dribbles, nutmegs, and flair are pure futsal inspiration. Critics accuse him of showboating, but for Neymar, football is about fun. Vinicius Jr. continues that legacy, tormenting defenders with tricks, stepovers, and lightning speed. He makes chaos look effortless. Riyad Mahrez turned street skills into Premier League stardom, dribbling past defenders with ease. His first touch alone feels like a trick. And then there's JJ Akocha, the cult hero. At Bolton, he brought samba flair to rainy English pitches, pulling off tricks nobody had seen before. Street footballers are entertainers, sometimes frustrating, sometimes magical, but always exciting. They remind us that football isn't about efficiency, it's about joy. The workhorse. Finally, there's the workhorse, the unsung hero, the tireless engine, the player who never stops running. N'Golo Kante is the modern king of the workhorses. He seems to cover the entire pitch alone. His smile hides endless effort, and his presence transforms teams. Leicester won the Premier League because of him. Chelsea won Europe because of him. Park Ji-sung was Alex Ferguson's secret weapon. In big games, Park would run himself into the ground, chasing, pressing, harassing. Fans called him Three Lung Park because he was never tired. James Milner became football's ultimate professional, filling any position, running tirelessly, never complaining, not glamorous but always effective. Dirk Kuyt gave Liverpool relentless work rate, scoring important goals while pressing relentlessly. Workhorses rarely make headlines. They don't score screamers or grab Ballon d'Ors, but ask any manager and they'll tell you, without workhorses, the stars can't shine. And these were the genres of football players that I wanted to talk about today.